The world as we know it is about to end. The world as we know it is about to end. David Icke.
The greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch them. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bars, so you think you're free.
What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers.
We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
The greatest hypnotist on planet Earth is an oblong box in the corner of the room. It is constantly telling us what to believe is real.
Can persuade people that what they see with their eyes is what there is to see, you're gone. Because they'll laugh in the face of an explanation that portrays the bigger picture of what's happening. And they have.
Let me get this story right. The press claim that you claim to be the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes, you see, the thing is that it's quite funny, really. You know.
Well, if you say David Icke to most people, what will come to mind, those of a certain age, will be, that was that bloke on Wogan. And it was an interview that changed my life. I couldn't turn the television on and hear my name mentioned without enormous laughter. I couldn't walk down the street without being laughed at by most of the people. Going into a pub, forget it, there was uproar. Hey, mad! It was an extremely challenging time, but it turned out to be the making of me in many ways. And Pam here has never seen it at all, because it was not known to her until she came and met me and started to realise this interview was highly significant in my life.
Let me
every
interrupt
day.
you. Was it a great shock for you to discover this at 38?
Well, I think the...
Oh, nice one, Tel.
I think the word...
Let's take the
is
piss.
gobsmacked, but I'm delighted that there's so much laughter in the audience tonight.
But no, it's...
Yeah, now's the great line.
Just let me say this.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine.
For me, watching that, I find it really painful to hear an audience laugh at anyone. There was something so powerful for me in watching what you were saying, resonated true with me, and for people to laugh hurt me greatly.
I remember one day going out to fetch the washing in, and there was a camera outside filming you just getting the washing in off the line and bringing it in up to the house. And people shouting from the top of scaffolding, "Oi, nutter," "Oi, Jesus," or "Where's your Bible," or whatever.
Your family's this, your dad's mad, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the headline was that day, you know. You'd walk around and you'd hear laughing and stuff like that, and it got to the point where you realised that it was because of you. You knew that, you know.
I can remember Gareth coming home one day and saying, some boy had said, "Your dad's mad." So Gareth said, "So's yours." And this boy said, "But you don't know my dad." And Gareth said, "Exactly."
The hardest thing for me about the whole business that followed the Wogan show was the effect on my family. They were being laughed at, they were being ridiculed, they were being followed to school by journalists and stuff like that. But when I look at my kids now, not Jamie, he wasn't around at the time obviously, but Gareth and Kerry, they are what they are, as we all are, not despite what had happened to them and what they experienced, but because of it. What life tends to do is hide its greatest gifts and present them as your worst nightmare. The mass ridicule that I had as a result of the Wogan show set me free of the prison that most people live in, which is the fear of what other people think. You're looking at the person who has gone on national television and radio in Britain, America, and talked about the fact that the elite families, including the royal family, are beyond the 5 sense level of their apparent human body, not human as we would perceive human. And they seem to take on that level beyond human sight a reptilian form. Now, if you are in any way in fear of what other people think of you, no way, Jose, are you going to start talking and writing about those things. Say this.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine.
Laughing at you. They're not laughing with you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine. Towards the end of 1989, I started getting this feeling to go to Peru. So purely on intuition, I got on a plane to Peru. I'm daydreaming, looking out the window. It's like a transit van thing with windows. Suddenly I saw this mound. And as I looked at the mound, all I got in my head was, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me, over and over. I'm thinking, that mound's talking to me. What's happening? I walked up the mound, and when I got to the top, there was a circle of standing stones. And I walked to the center of this circle, and suddenly my feet started to burn. It's like I'm plugged into the mains. I mean, I'm kind of shaking. And then I heard this line go through my head really clear. First of all, they will be talking about this 100 years from now. And secondly, it will be over when you feel the rain. And then the rain hit me, and it was like, boom, off. I was never the same again. What started to happen was concepts were pouring into my mind. And it was like my mind got to the point where it could no longer filter this information that was pouring into me. And that was the period that I hit the Wogan show.
Happy birthday, darling.
Thank you.
First off, I'd like to give you your birthday card. I didn't fall in love with David Icke. I fell in love with a man. I was on a journey myself. My life took me to Jamaica in 1997, August, to a conference, and it was there that I heard David Icke speak about the 5 sense understanding of the manipulation. And I, like 1,000 other people at that conference, listened to that, and it absolutely, you could hear a pin drop during this 4-hour talk. It was only 3 months later when I met David again in Aruba in 1997. And the rest is history, really. When we held hands, I felt like I was flying.
Is it the right way up?
Yes.
What is it?
Ooh, St. Helens Station.
Oh, only what? Ivan Berriman, fantastic artist on the RY.
That's the one. Brilliant. Good shape, Jamie. Hey, that's excellent, mate. Class. I was a real loner as a kid, and I always believed that things in life that I wanted to happen to other people. I used to play football in the playground at my primary school. We used to call it uppers and downers. I saw this thing on the door at the school one day. Anyone wants to try out for the school team, put your name down. Never thought about it. No way. So I was walking home one night, and this kid's running after me. Hey, Icke. Teacher wants you to have a trial tomorrow. So I went home to my father. I still got a trial for school team tomorrow. God, mate, it's happening to me. Nothing happens to me. And I got in the team. I played in goal and I did all right. Got seen by an Arsenal scout. And in the end, I signed for Coventry City. Smack it. Get it. Ooh. Unlucky. Anyway, and then 6 months after I became a footballer at Coventry, my left knee swelled up for no apparent reason. And that was the end of my football career. But I still love the game, and it's just been a wonderful thing for me. Amid all the other stuff that's gone in with my life, one of the great backbone balancing parts of it, grounding parts of it has been coaching Jamie and seeing a boy who knew nothing about goalkeeping at the age of 7 to become a really excellent, outstanding goalkeeper at the age of 13. All right, mate. All right, Jay. Well played, mate. Same again. Where's she gone? Do you want a cup of tea, Lynn? Cup of coffee? They'll take 20 quid.
You're on camera then, aren't you?
I'm always being turned down by women. You never lose it.
Is that the only pocket money you've got?
I know.
Sad.
This is Linda, who was my wife. What was it? 29 years, mate, wasn't it?
It was.
29 years, and we're still best mates. And she runs the book company. You know, Lynn's been in on this from the start. She was here when I had my turquoise period and my transformation from sports presenter to whatever the hell I become.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be amazed that an ex-husband and wife are still best mates.
That is something that I've had said to me many years. They don't, because it isn't the norm. The norm is that I wouldn't speak to him again and he wouldn't speak to me. That's people's reality. That's not our reality. We make our own reality.
Yeah, see, the reality that we're coming from, and you know, I try to get across to people is, see, things like husband and wife. What is that? What is that? It's some label that at some point in history somebody decided it was going to be, okay, and that you can only have a close relationship with someone if you're husband and wife and you share the same bed. This is all bollocks. It's all programmed, tiny vision of possibility bollocks. It's what you are that matters, not what some label kind of tries to pin on you, isn't it? When you go through your life and you look back, if you have followed your intuitive feelings, you'll see that what appears to be individual experiences become like a road that's leading you into a certain direction. Certain things have led me to where I am now. I went into journalism, which gave me the ability to write simply. I went into television, which meant that when I came out with this stuff, it wouldn't just be completely ignored. So all these things, when I look back, are coincidences that actually are more than that. They've allowed me to get where I am now. Well, on my shelf I've got the books that I've written so far, and it's kind of funny when I look through them and have a look again, I'm always amazed that I ever produced them. But it all began with Truth Vibrations. And that was the one that caused all the furore on the Wogan show and all that time. And what's happened over the years is there have been more and more interest in what I do from countries all over the world. And so these are some of the translations of my books. This one's in Japanese. I haven't got a clue if it's accurate or not. I don't understand a word of it, but I trust that they got it right. There's me. I wrote a book called I Am Me, I Am Free. Also, in which I was stark naked on the front. It's a testament to different attitudes, to the fact that I can be naked in some countries, I have to have a sticker in others, and in still others, I have to have shrink wrap around the book so the sticker can't be taken off. And, you know, it's a big sticker. One of the main reasons that people are now looking at my books and what I'm saying in a vastly greater number than ever before is because so many of the things that I've written about over the years are now happening. I said in 1990, we can expect the power and frequency of hurricanes to increase after the millennium. A psychic message said there would be a severe hurricane around the Gulf of Mexico and New Orleans.
The bloodline hierarchy at the top of the human pyramid of control and suppression passes the baton across the generations, mostly sons following fathers.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
I, George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
The plan is to engineer events, real and staged, that will create enormous fear in the countdown years to 2012. This includes a plan to start a third world war, either by stimulating the Muslim world into a holy war against the West, or by using China to cause global conflict, maybe both.
The years after the millennium will see gathering conflict all over the world, to the point where the United Nations will be overwhelmed.
January the 20th, 2001. Don't be surprised if the United States finds itself in another manipulated war during this administration. You will see monsters being created in the public mind to justify such action.
Between 2000 and 2002, the United States will suffer a major attack on a large city.
People have perceived me as claiming to be some kind of prophet. Now, it depends how you perceive the word prophet. If you perceive it as someone sitting in a darkened room and getting it from the ether, then I'm not that kind of prophet, really. It's very clear that there are two stories running side by side in what we call daily life. There's what I call the movie. This is the version of events that the mainstream media and all the official authorities, the system, tell us is the nature of what's happening in the world. Alongside the movie is the secret agenda, which the movie hides and obscures. That agenda is for a global state which can be pretty much described in the nightmare of George Orwell's 1984. The Big Brother global state, in which there will be a world government, world central bank, world army imposing the will of the world government, world currency, and a microchip population linked to a global computer.
That's the Department of Ministry?
That's the cenotaph, yeah. If you stand there and read out the dead names of dead soldiers in Iraq, you get arrested under the Serious Organised Crime and Police Act in this free country.
I've been filming David for 8 years, since we've been together in my own little cameras. I've got hours and hours and hours of footage. But now it's become more professional. Before, I felt like I was just following David around and I wasn't really doing anything, although I was, but it wasn't enough. And now I've found my canvas.
I remember coming here on the Great Central Railway when I was a kid from Leicester, and we walked up with my dad and my mother up there and looked across at Downing Street, right? Now you can't get anywhere near the bloody place, ironically, because of terrorist events that have been orchestrated by the very people that control the guy that's being protected, so we can't go up there and see his house. Crazy world. Okay, we're going to go see an extraordinary man who's been in Parliament Square since June the 2nd, 2001, protesting against the slaughter of children. And, you know, the commitment that he's shown is just unbelievable. So we'll go and see him. I brought that bucket last, mate. How you doing? There you go, I signed it for you.
78 police, 78 police. See how they run, see how they run. They come to us in the dead of night, give us all a terrible fright, deprive us of our human rights. 78 for lice. When are we going to stop killing our kids, eh? Our kids.
Well, we're going to stop killing our kids when people get off their arses and toss us like the guy who's just come past here and shouted, "When did you last have a job?" or words to that effect. Realise that the police state is not for people like you and people like me. It's for every bugger. I mean, you know, we get.
Unclean! Stop a minute! Unclean! Lepers of the world! USA! UK! Unclean!
Why are you asking me if I have permission to film in a public place that my taxation pays for?
David, it's all right.
No, hold a second. Do you know something? There was a time when I thought I lived in a free country. Your children are going to have to live in the state you are policing into existence. And when it's too late, you'll go, "Oh my God, what were you doing, Daddy and Mummy, when the police state came into power?" I was enforcing it, darling.
Can I ask you to calm down, please? We've come over here, we're doing our job.
Please, don't tell me what to do.
You're not here to film us, are you? You're here to do whatever you're doing.
Yeah, that one. If it's covered with CCTV cameras, what's the problem? Everyone's being watched, aren't they? I don't get. I'm not going to speak to you. No, I'm not going to speak to you because obviously you've got a bee in your bonnet about it. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to get into. It's a simple question. No, it's not an argument. It's a simple question. If CCTV cameras are everywhere, filming everyone here, what's the point of you coming down and saying what you're doing? You can see us, can't you? There's no answer in it.
Really coming here. David,
I've said what I was.
It's got no answer in the past. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But that presses my button. It really does. Because, you know, this is supposed to be a free country, supposedly, and you get a camera out in an open public space, which our taxation is paid for, and they come up and start, what are you doing? What are you doing? If that was in Nazi Germany or China, it would be on the news, and the people in there will be going, "See, that's confirmation, police state, human rights, no human rights in China." And all these other places. No human rights in Nazi Germany, and then they do the same, but because it's on the cover of freedom and democracy, it's all different. It's exactly the bloody same. It's not even a creeping Orwellian state now, it is a galloping one, and really it's in the small things that you find how deeply into our daily, even in detail, into our daily lives this stuff has gone. Got to ask permission for this, got to ask permission for that, mustn't do that, all the time. I won't have it. Honestly, if people only just deep breath, take a step back, look at it again. The Orwellian state ain't coming, it's here. It's just a question of how deeply we go into it.
I can't speak too loudly because this is a very a species that doesn't like people making too much noise. This is known as the Nessus-spotted repeater. This is a very common sight where truth is being annihilated.
Have you ever heard that phrase, "Everyone knows that, mate"? Well, why does everyone know that? Well, it's because this system is controlled by what I call repeaters. They're people in the situations of power and influence who just repeat what someone else tells them. A doctor is repeating what they were told at medical school and what the drug companies tell them. You've got teachers who repeat what they learned in their exams and what they learned at teacher training college, and they repeat that to the next generation. And the great repeaters are what pass for journalists. This is the area outside Parliament where they stand there doing their pieces to camera, telling people what's going on. Here we have the crews waiting for the journalists to come across from Westminster and stand there and tell them what's happening in the world. The fact is, they don't know what's happening. They know nothing. So this is what they should be saying if they were telling the truth. Now over to Westminster for the latest news from David Icke. Thank you. Well, I've got to be honest, mate. I haven't got a clue what's going on. I tell you what my job is, right? I wear a dark suit, not normally, but, you know, I'm playing here. And I'm come over from there, and I tell you what they've told me is going on. And I deliver it as if I know what's going on and it's really true. I haven't got a clue if it's true. But they tell me, and they wouldn't lie, would they? I mean, would Tony Blair lie about what's really happening? Would George Bush, please? I'm a journalist, trust me. And so, what we call News You, what you get paid a lot of money for reading Autocue about, is merely propaganda that they have told me and I tell you. David Icke, BBC, ITN, CNN, CBS, Sky News, Westminster.
When I started researching the nature of this Orwellian manipulation, it became clear that there are a network of interbreeding bloodlines. What I call and what they call themselves, the Illuminati, which comes from the illuminated ones, have come through history. And as people began to reject overt, in-your-face dictatorship, they became the people who ran the system. You can look at the Bush family, and they are absolutely Illuminati. As presidents of the United States go, Father George Bush, I mean not the idiot's son, but Father George Bush is higher in the Illuminati than most of them. The British royal family are one of the Illuminati bloodlines. It's all about genetics to these people. They're like horse breeders. Diana basically called herself the Windsor's brood mare. She was brought into the web merely to be the vehicle to give birth to William. You look at Charles and you look at William, and there's very much a resemblance. But when you look at Harry, well, maybe it's just me, you know. You'll look at the Bushes and people like that, and they look like you and me. The key element is what happens beyond the realm that we can see. This is what the Illuminati bloodlines really are. They are vehicles for other dimensional entities to manipulate this reality. These entities, many of which take a reptilian outer form, are manipulating this world through these Illuminati bloodlines. When I introduce something like these Illuminati bloodlines are based on a reptilian, non-human race, people find it fantastic. Of course it is, because it is so different from the reality and ways of the world that they have grown up believing in. The mainstream media, they want to report, because it's funny, that I am saying these bloodlines are reptilian. But when I'm talking about this stuff, when I try to get in more background, of course the media's going, oh no mate, can't talk about that, we need an early out at 20 seconds.
First time I made this journey was on a paddle steamer. I fell in love with the Isle of Wight when I was such a small kid. I remember at infant school, I used to play Isle of Wight ferries in the paddling pool. So I was that far back, and I always wanted to live here, and I made it in 1982. And I used to go up to the BBC and back all the time. So I've made this journey so many times.
Because of the way that public perception of me has changed, I'm now getting the opportunity to really get information out into the public domain that's going to get a sympathetic hearing. I decided months ago, just intuitively, instinctively, that I wanted to talk in London. And we booked the Brixton Academy, not knowing what the interest would be. And the response was just incredible. The way it's going to be a sellout audience of in excess of 2,000 people.
Nice to meet you. Where you come from?
Sheffield.
Sheffield. Okay, I'll see you later.
What I want Brixton to show to people is that if you are saying there's something not right in the world, and you have feelings that there is some kind of conspiracy going on here, and I don't like what's happening, well, look at the attendance of Brixton and know that you are not alone.
Folks, tickets in your hands, please. Thank you very much. Keep action. Thank you.
May I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Why are you here?
Why am I here? To try and get one or two answers. Such a complex thing. I feel that mankind is doomed, basically. So somebody ought to wake everyone up, and I think this is where David Icke is coming in. I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I mean that sincerely.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
I intend to. Thank you.
There's nothing that beats the interaction between people who are on the same wavelength. And when we came here, what, 2 years ago?
No, it was last June.
Was it last year? Was it really? Crikey, time flies. We kind of filled the bottom section and just 1 or 2 seats at the top, and it looks like it's going to be a sellout this time. This is the guy, what, 16 years ago, who, if I
spoke to one man and a dog and put your own seats out and walked around the towns putting posters out and around the local shops. And
the idea something like this would happen, it was just a joke, wasn't it? I mean, you know, I kind of felt instinctively it was going to come. That's what kept me going. But at the time, it was like, you know, dreamland.
Well, like you say, it's a big awakening when people are out there. A number of people that phone our office and say, we live in a fascist state. You know, what is this? What can we do about it? Well, maybe after 6 or 7 hours, we'll all know.
Well, I was reading his books, as I always do, and now I can't believe I've actually seen him face to face. But I take it all very seriously, and only a fool wouldn't.
He's a great man. It's like a pilgrimage, yeah?
See, everything he said 10 years ago, and that I thought, that's impossible, it's all come true. Well, he's got me convinced, and there's no turning back.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Brixton Academy. At this point, I was going to come out with all sorts of words like how I've known David for 35 years and how he's given the last 15 to researching all that he writes and talks about. But to be quite honest with you, you've not come here to hear or see me, so there's no more to be said, and I would like to say, welcome, David Icke.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was George Bush. You're free, and freedom is beautiful. And you know it'll take time to restore chaos and order. Order out of chaos, but we will. Order out of chaos, or as I've dubbed it, problem, reaction, solution. Simple, devastating, played on us by the day.
Nobody laughs because they actually listen. They want to listen to what he's saying. And I think only then when you've listened to what somebody says, can you give an input into what they're saying.
You want to change society in a way that you know if you announce it openly, you're going to get massive reaction. So you don't announce it openly, you play this scam.
You know, you read a book and you go and hear somebody speak and you'll find it's not what you thought it was. He is not who you think he is.
Stage one, you create a problem. Could be a terrorist event, could be a war, it could be a run on a currency, could be a bird flu.
He's never said, you must believe what I say. I think he'll go out there and say, I'm not telling you to believe what I'm telling you now. I am passing on information that I have uncovered and gleaned over 15 years of research. Make of it what you will.
I've just described 9/11, by the way. I was in a bar just after 9/11, and I was watching CNN live. And I saw Bush stand up and say, I saw this plane hit the World Trade Center. And he said, this is word for word, he said, and I thought, what a terrible pilot. That's what he said. The first plane was not shown on live television, only the second one. No way in the world is it possible for him to have seen the first plane hit. Total freaking lies. Wanted for terrorism. Biggest terrorist in the world. I've had the hands-on healing and I've had the acupuncture and I've still got verbal sodding diarrhea. I can't shift it, I can keep talking. But if we come back in 1 hour and then we'll go into the last part, which is the most important. Thank you very much. Oh, God. Oh, God. I am so naked. All right, mate. We've not met. Grab a seat. Do you want a drink? Hello, Don. Hello, mate.
How you doing, man?
That is just.
No, you're absolutely right. But seriously.
No, I'm saying you're breaking my heart every now.
And seriously, everyone out there loves you.
Yeah.
Loves you. You're so great, Dave, man. Seriously, you're doing so much for these people.
Yeah.
It's like.
You are.
Yeah, I'm choked, man. I just don't know how you do it.
Thank you.
You rule, man. You rule.
Cheers, mate.
Do you need anything?
All right, darling. I was just looking at my watch there. Actually, I wasn't looking at my watch for people to go, although I was looking at my watch because when did I come off? 6:30?
I don't know, but I have to say that we are contracted here till 9.
I came off at 6:30. I'll be back on at 7:30, so that will give me 2 hours.
Not a minute over.
Do I drop the reptilian thing and just concentrate on the last bit? Do you reckon?
My gut feeling is yes, you do.
Okay, but I mean, there's going to be people out there going, when the reptilian's coming on? You know what I mean?
Well,
but
they've come in here and paid for a 7-hour talk, and that's what they're getting.
yes, I have. Yeah, I'll go with the nature of reality.
Okay, so
that'll allow me to.
On a 9:15 cut off.
Yeah, that's an hour and 45 minutes. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I had an experience over the last week. My mother died. She was in her 80s, and I went up for the funeral.
Lord of life, you have made us in your image to reflect your truth and light. We give you thanks for Barbara, for the grace and mercy she received from you.
First of all, I faced some challenges in my life, but getting through this is going to be one of the biggest.
I went up for the funeral, and I was asked if I wanted to go and see my mother in the coffin. Now, I would have said no, I want to remember her as she is, but something said to me, go, go, go. You know, I went down to see my mother, and she was lying in the coffin this morning. And next to her was that picture. And I looked at my mother in the coffin, and I looked at the picture. That had no life. That was full of life. That was my mother. That was the computer with my mother gone. My mother's not in that coffin. My mother's not being cremated today. The vehicle that she used to experience this world and walk among us is what's being cremated today. Look at the sparkle in those eyes. Look at the energy. My mother is still alive because she cannot be anything but alive, because she is infinite consciousness that cannot be destroyed. All that was my mother has simply left this tiny frequency range that our eyes can perceive and now exists on another. When I came to the Isle of Wight, I fell in love with the place originally because of the steam trains. And we come here quite a lot, don't we? Yeah. But we also go all over the country, me and Jay. We have a holiday every year, don't we?
Yeah.
And we go to steam train lines in different parts of the country. We've seen virtually all of them now. We haven't been to Scotland, have we?
No.
And we're going to Wales this year, the Llangollen Railway, which is beautiful. So you kind of it's strange life. You move from these kind of really big questions to, you know, what engine's on Avon Street today, you know, and Leicester City going to stay up, you know.
Only you think about that.
Well, only you think. I don't think that's true. I'm sad. Well, you support Portsmouth, so we've got that in common.
Why should we believe you?
So I am asking no one in this theatre, no one watching this programme, no one on this planet to believe a word of it.
But why are you saying it then?
Because the fundamental law of creation is that of free will. And I frankly don't care what anyone thinks. They have free will to make their own choices on what is said. I say wait and see.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Icke.
Thank you.
For every person in Brixton, there are vastly, vastly more people, thousands, millions around the world who are also in the same mode of thought that they are, in terms of wanting to know what's happening in the world, because the official versions of what's going on make absolutely no sense.
Some of it was a little bit hard to swallow, but it's all the facts that are backed up, you know, there's evidence. A bit too much for the baby, he fell asleep. He got very excited, especially about the Illuminati.
You know, as he says before, like 10 years ago you'd have got laughter at it, but now people are like, you know, he knows his stuff, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I've died and gone to heaven. Great day.
Well done, Deborah.
You enjoy it, Jay?
Yeah, I watched the last hour and a half or so.
Did you understand a lot of it in the end?
Yeah.
That's how you create a life that you want, mate. That's how you create a life you want. You do it from a young age and nothing's impossible, mate. You want it, you know it, you'll do it. It's comforting to me in a way, not least for my children. I remember my daughter Kerry saying to me, you know, Dad, one day I'm going to be able to walk down Union Street and I'm going to be able to say, my dad's not mad. Look at what he said, look at what is happening. He was right. We're now at a point where she's close to being able to say that. To see it come out the other side. It's like chains just breaking off.
What they want to do is hold us where we've always been, in the eggshell. Hold us in this computer level sense of reality we call the five senses, and disconnected from the infinite consciousness that we They want to manipulate what is in our heads so that we see the world they want us to. The only truth is we are infinite consciousness. We are all that ever has been. Only when we know who we are can we know freedom. Not free of the next Blair Bush introduced law, not free of, but free. The Illuminati Orwellian state is not the immovable object. It's there because we're holding it there. When we choose not to, it'll crash and it'll all be over.